Sasageyo, Sasageyo, I don't know the rest, but Sasageyo. This episode was kind of like the required breather, the required pause amidst the chaos so that the audience and the characters in the show have time to recollect their thoughts and then figure out what they're going to do next, which in this case is going to a forest. Yeah, because, last time we were in a forest, everything just turned out swell. This show has a thing that it does where in which even the victories don't even feel like victories. Like last week, Eren had the upper hand in the fight because of the hold, and then all of a sudden the Colossal Titan just comes crashing down on this thing. Turns out the steam in the crash granted Reiner the ability to turn the tides on the fight because he was able to bite Eren right out of his place and then run away with him. But not before getting Bertoldo and also Ymir out of there as well. Now last week we saw that Bertolt had swallowed two people. One of them was Ymir, and the other person we didn't get to see who it was. But I'm guessing it wasn't really somebody important because I think Bertolt only cared about the maneuver gear. Because now when he comes out of the Colossal, he's wearing the maneuver gear and he goes on to Reiner, and that's how he just leaves. So I'm guessing he was just using that. It could have been anyone. You just needed the maneuver gear. And we go to a different area, a different branch. We see Pixies, Erwin, as well as Levi, and this character called John. I don't know. It's been so long since I saw this character, I even forgot he was a character in the show in the first place. That being said, I do remember that John wanted to join the military police because he wanted to be safer. But now that he's joined, it seems like the military police, or at least a section of it, is being pushed outward. So it's kind of like, how did that work out for you, John? Shout out to Sasha for coming in with the report/update, but just drinking a lot of water instead. Also, this was like a very Armin and Mikasa-centric type episode, and you can tell by the amount of detail and work they put into these characters' faces, especially Mikasa's, like holy crap. Just the way the animators and artists were able to showcase her emotional range throughout this entire episode was phenomenal. I mean, literally, those facial expressions, I'm telling you, sometimes she even emotes more, all right, than a lot of Hollywood actresses do nowadays. It's crazy. And that's not even counting the Jackie Chan scene that we get in the flashback where she completely dominates this fight. It's a 3-on-2, but Eren doesn't know how to fight, and she just comes in there like a boss and just flips a guy in midair. Now, in terms of the characterization that we get for her in this episode, I can't say that we learned something that is just entirely new. Because, I mean, we can read between the lines. It's so obvious that she likes, I would say really likes Eren. I mean, at this point, you can even argue that she loves him. But anyway, so the whole feelings from Mikasa to Eren have always been there. It's been an obvious thing, but at least in this episode, there's a blatant statement of her just saying, all I want is to be next to him, or to, be beside him or whatever. So it's like, okay, so the obvious is now confirmed, and it's weird too, because at the same time, this episode kind of does something that kind of like raises some doubt in your mind, where it's like, I mean, right now you can kind of think of them as, okay, yeah, I mean, I can see them together in the end, but then like Armin and Mikasa just come to this conclusion that there's always this pattern where when it comes to Eren, where in which Eren just kind of runs away and leaves them behind. So they can't be together. It's almost like they're always chasing after him, and even then it's not good enough. So it's kind of like this pattern of like, when are they finally going to be together? I mean, is it even realistic at this point for that to happen? Because Armin says something too. He says, I guess him like, going off by himself and us being left behind, I guess that's just how things are meant to be. I'm like, wait, is that like foreshadowing? Like, what are you trying to say here? Because you even get like a soft breeze, those anime moments, and their hair just kind of like, woo. Like, is that foreshadowing for Eren dying in the end of the series or something? I mean, because that was just very weird. I was just like, oh, what are you trying to say, Armin? Like, well, not Armin, but what is the author trying to say with that quote? You see what I'm saying? But then like Hannes comes in and sort of like makes my hope flourish again. Gives me back that hope that I lost with that quote from Armin, because Hannes says, I really want those good old days back, and I can't get them unless all three of you are together. It's kind of funny though, and it kind of puts everything into perspective, because very few people aside from Hannes would consider, the time when they were alcoholics and the time where pretty much Armin's family was like starving to death and when they were getting bullied, the good old days. But things have changed so much. Things have gotten so much worse that that's what the good old days look like now. If the best days of your life were the days where you were wasted most of the time, that's a problem. So, Hannes, you might want to look into that. No, but the speech actually serves another purpose, which is to encourage Armin and Mikasa to not give up hope. To sort of like think about how Eren is, how he's behaved in the past, and how he's going to behave in the future. Because it's like, I mean, this guy, he doesn't take no for an answer, especially when it comes to Titans. I mean, his rage, he is so action oriented that he doesn't care if he's getting his ass beat. He will stand up in the face of danger, in the face of adversity. So don't give up. I mean, his will eventually, sort of like get him to fight and fight his way back to you guys. The only flip side to that is that it's already been 5 hours, and that's the thing that worries Mikasa the most. But thankfully, thanks to Hanji, even though she got hit by the steam, and you see a lot of like reddish bruises and stuff, she says we have to go to the forest. Actually, you guys go. I'll just stay here healing. I don't know. Did she go with them? I would assume she didn't. But anyway, she says they need to rest at some point because they're probably exhausted, and I'm pretty sure they won't be able to fend off the Titans in that state. So, they're probably going to look for refuge in the trees. We get a little scene there with the twins, and Armin just pretty much tells Krista that he doesn't want her to go. In my opinion, I probably wouldn't let her go even if she wanted to, because we know that Krista is important. We don't know why she's important, but she's key to something. And so, yeah, it doesn't make sense to risk her that way. But, she wants to see her girlfriend, just like Mikasa wants to see Eren and Armin wants to see Eren. So that's understandable from that perspective. Also, Connie, I guess, now has learned the truth about Reiner and Bertoldo, but he still doesn't believe it. He actually wants a statement from their mouths saying that, yeah, we actually betrayed humanity and we are the Titans and stuff. So he's kind of like in denial right now. Then again, I'm not really sure what kind of explanation you would expect from these two necessarily, because it's like, I mean, yes, like they were your big brothers, they were your friends, but they still killed, I mean, they were responsible for the deaths of a lot of people. I mean, they're responsible for a massacre. And so, I guess, like, we know that Reiner is conflicted. We saw that he was conflicted when he transformed. Bertolt hasn't said anything, but just based on his facial expressions, we know that he's conflicted internally as well. And I guess my question is, they were kids when they did that, right? Like, I know, like, just basing it off of Eren and Mikasa and Armin's age, I mean, Bertolt and Reiner must have been really similar to their ages as well. So it's kind of like, man, these little kids were putting in work, like, for whoever their bosses is, like, crazy. Unless Titan shifters don't age the same way that normal humans do, then I guess they could be older. Which makes it worse. The older they were when they did that, the worse it is. Because if you were kids, then yeah, I mean, you got indoctrinated into doing something that was wrong, but you were a kid. The episode ends with the beginning of the counterattack, thanks to the cavalry that arrives, riding on top of the wall, thanks to Commander Erwin. So he comes in with the military police, and they're off to go and get Ymir and Eren back. And that's how the episode ends, and then Eren and Ymir wake up. Well, actually, Eren wakes up next to Ymir, looking like those people that you sometimes see out on the streets, begging for money. No offense to those people, but that's just what I was reminded of. Also, judging from the episode preview that we got, there seems to be a whole lot of conversation, like a really, really heavy discussion between Eren and Reiner. And you see Bertolt tearing up, you see Reiner holding his face in his hand. So yeah, I mean, again, these guys are conflicted. And I will say this much, despite the fact that, what they did was terrible and horrible and atrocious, at least it's obvious to me now that they're not interested in killing people in the present right now. They haven't killed anyone. In fact, I think they've kind of gone out of their way to stop people from dying or to kill people. So I will say that. That's it for me. I thought the episode was pretty decent. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Attack on Titan reviews. Catch you guys later.